So I launched Future Perfect Ventures in 2014 after being a venture capitalist since 1999. And I read the original Bitcoin white paper that talked about seamless transactions across borders without intermediaries, and I started thinking of how this could be kind of the next wave of the internet, or allow us to transact in a way that the internet still hasn't allowed us to. To date, I've made 12 investments. It was actually, in terms of amount invested, it was about 75% of Future Perfect's first fund. Happy to say that we're in many of the industry leaders in both the Bitcoin and more generally the blockchain space. We're seeing the proliferation of this technology, and we're not sure exactly what the business models are going to be around this, but I have a strong sense that it's going to be kind of as many or more business models that emerge out of the internet we're going to see come out of the blockchain. In the developed world, we have financial institutions that work. We have banking systems and credit cards, and while fees could be lower in a lot of these categories and transaction mechanisms, we are still operating at a highly efficient level. The emerging markets are a very different story. We still have 2 billion people around the world that are unbanked. We have 1.5 billion people around the world that have no form of government ID, so they don't have identity in being able to get credit and access to banking systems or jobs. And that's where blockchain technology can really have I'd say a life-changing impact, and where there's a lot of potential. And then in Europe, with the Bank of England now kind of authorizing private company information to be written to the blockchain. Delaware just passed regulation in the last month for the same thing. So I've always believed in investing in the strongest entrepreneurs, and especially given that the fund focuses on really frontier technology like blockchain, like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. A lot of people questioned whether we were going to have a diverse portfolio, or that whether there were enough women in these sectors. And I'm happy to say over 50% of our portfolio is female-led companies and female founders, and it's really proof that there are great women founders in every sector, and it's a matter of also diversifying who's in charge of the capital and the general partners that are investing the capital that will then flow into more female-led companies. I think what we need to do right now, and where I spend a lot of my time, is showing where the use cases are and how it can have positive social impact, and how this isn't just about coding in a room or nefarious activity between drug dealers. That this is technology that can be used for all these great purposes. And I mean, I point to an example of a project right now in Afghanistan that has distributed Bitcoin wallets to teenagers, who then get small amounts of Bitcoin every time they publish a blog post, and where it would be hard to be able to distribute capital through credit cards or other means or banking accounts to these girls. They actually have a wallet that they only have access to, and are getting deposits into that for work that they're doing in terms of spreading their life stories. And so So that's where we can get really creative, and the application development is helping with the infrastructure development, and this is truly happening in a decentralized way, which is not a surprise because that's how the technology, that's the backbone of the technology, is decentralized. So I think we're going to see much faster development, much quicker time to adoption than we did with the internet. I just think we have to be careful in understanding that there's a lot of the implications of this technology that may not have to do with the actual technical elements of the technology, but society, legal ramifications that we need to pay attention to. Because we are impacting the world by putting this out there, and technology like artificial intelligence is going to be exponentially more impactful in good and bad ways than something like Twitter was. I mean, we're releasing code that then can learn on its own and make decisions, and if we're allowing a device to be able to do that, then we have to think through, what happens if that device starts turning against us or humanity, and we've created this, and where are the stopgaps, and Bitcoin and blockchain is very similar in terms of putting out code where organizations can self-regulate, and what happens when there's a bug in the code, and who fixes that, and if the idea is decentralization, what is the process that needs to be put into place?